again, we have a short period. I have a lot to do. All right, I've got to explain to you 2 or 3 things today. And again, one of them makes life really easy, and one is not hard, but it's just kind of annoying. Okay, so please sit down. We're opening up 4-3. Tomorrow we have a review that will take us 2 days. I'm going to go through everything that I think is important up to this date in this particular chapter, and then we will review that for a couple days. Lots of things going on. Today you're going to learn the point-slope form of a line and the standard form for a line. So again, 4.3. Again, notice I did questions 1 through 18 with my first class, all right? And so we will do the second worksheet. We're going to do questions as much as I can get up to, okay? Now, again, for us, all right, I'd like to go ahead and just really have your attention just for a second. So try not to write anything. Just pay attention, okay? So first thing is, it says that we are going to write an equation in point-slope form. We're going to write an equation in point-slope form, all right? Now, you don't even know what the equation is, so you really can't do that. I'm going to write the equation. You're not going to write it down yet. And then I'm going to explain to you how I got the equation. And you're going to go, okay, that's really easy. I don't have to memorize. All right? So here's what I want you to do. All right? The point-slope form, don't write it. You're just listening. Don't write. Put your eyes up at the board. You're just listening. I mean it, guys. All right? Some of you I know are super good and you think you got to write everything down. I don't want you doing that right now. We got lots of problems. You can write them down. Just pay attention because it's important for you to understand how I got this information. All right? So the equation for the point slope is written as y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Again, you're not writing that. You're just watching. All right? That's the equation. All right? Now, m represents the what again? Slope. M represents the slope. And what do you think x1, y1 represents? No. X1, y1 represent the, look at the definition, or look at the name of it. That's right. That's why they call it the point-slope form. All right? You're going to use that when they give you the slope and the what? Points. And x1 and y1 refer to the points. All right? Now, the question is, how do they come up with that formula? So here I'm going to show you. Now, again, this is what's important. I'm not asking you to, write anything down. You're going to go, oh, that's so easy. All right? To get that, all right, what they did was they took the equation for a slope, which was m equals y2 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. Come on, guys. I see some of you guys on your iPads. You're looking at your iPads doing other kinds of things. I'm trying to show you something. All right? So this is the equation for slope. Do you agree?
Yes.
Now watch. All right? All I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by x2 minus x1. Multiply this side by x2 minus x1. So what happens to the right side? What happens to this? What happens? Well, it's not that it disappears. It divided out. So we say x2 minus x1 divided by x2 minus x1 cancels. Everybody see that? Now, what I really want you to establish now is I want you to take a quick look at this right here. And I'm trying to show you that it's really, once I cross this out, it's really the same thing. Does everybody see that? So again, the formula is derived by the slope formula. And everybody here knows the slope formula. So if you know the slope formula, you know the point-slope form. Now, the only thing that's different is that I eliminate the 2 here, And the reason why we do that is because we're writing the equation of a line. All right? So when you write the equation of a line, the x or an x and y is needed. Everybody with me? Sorry. So here we go. Now, what I want everybody to do is, I want everybody now to write that equation. That's what we need. All right? All right, here we go. So I can show you this, how simple it is. All right? What I'm going to do is, I would write it down first. I would copy it and paste it every time if you need to. But again, I want to show now everybody, listen, how simple it is. All right? This 2 right here is considered x1, and this 2 is considered what? y1. That is correct. And the slope is -3. Now watch. All I'm doing is replacing y minus 2 equals -3 times x minus 2. And again, guess what? That's the answer. All right, last week we worked on, bless you, last week we worked on y equals mx plus b, which is super important. This week I'm giving you even an easier equation. All right, and it's called the point slope. You use the point slope when you're given a what? Point and a slope. That's why they call it point slope. All right, and guess what? We're done. All right, that's how simple that is. Everybody with me on this? All right, so now let's look quickly at number 2. All right, so I'm going to try to write the equation for number 2. Now, when I write the equation, I'm going to write it out so you can see it, but you don't have to write this step out. It would be y minus -6 equals -1 times x minus 1. Does everybody see I put the minus negative just so you can see it, correct? The minus and negative is obviously a what? It's obviously a plus. So is that really necessary? Y plus 6 equals -1 times x minus 1. Is everybody happy with that? You don't have to write that step. Of course, I'd want you to skip that. Everybody here knows minus and negative is positive. All right? Anybody have any questions? No. All right. So now, let's check out number 3. See how good we are. Now, on number 3, I want everybody to put a star by this one. This, again, is a special case. Somebody tell me why it's a special case. Because the slope is 0. All right, I've always told you that the equation line with the slope of 0 is what? Is what? Y equals. It's y equals. Is everybody with me? What's the y value? No. What's the y value? -4. So the answer is just y equals -4. All right? Everybody with me on that? That's how I want you to recognize. Whenever somebody says the slope is 0, I just want you to say it's the y value. Y equals. All right? You don't have to put it into a form. All right? It's just y equals -4. Yeah. Slope is a horizontal line, right? With m equals 0. You with me? If the slope is 0, it has to be a horizontal line. All right? Now, all right, let's see how I did. Number 4. Here we go. Tell me, Bridget.
Y minus 3 equals -3/4, and then plus 2x minus 1.
Beautiful. Daniel, number 5.
Number 5, so it's y minus 5 equals -2/5,
Beautiful.
I don't know what they think.
All right. Number 6. Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, y plus 3 equals 1/3, parentheses x minus.
I told you guys. Does everybody agree? Simple, simple, simple.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's actually easier than we did last week, but it's important. All right, it's very important. And you just have to follow directions on the test. Sometimes I'll say write it in y equals mx plus b. Sometimes I'll say write it in point slope form. And then sometimes I'll say write it in standard form. All right. So now standard form is kind of like an old school. All right. On most standardized tests, they don't say write it in standard form. They usually accept it in y equals mx plus b, or they accept it in point slope. All right. But still, I need to show you standard form. All right. So please listen. Standard form is something more where you just kind of have to remember it. All right. Because there's no way for me to explain exactly how they came up with this, other than the fact that they wanted everybody to have the same answer. So when you write it in standard form, everybody's answer will always be the same. So standard form is like this, guys. AX plus BY equals C. All right. Now there's a few things you have to know about A, B, and C. First of all, you're not allowed to have fractions. Or in other words, A, B, and C have to be integers. The next thing you have to remember is A has to be positive. And A, B, and C are relatively prime. And relatively prime just means you can't divide a number by, or a number doesn't go into A, B, and C. All right? So again, let me say that one more time because I'm not going to write it. All right, and we're going to do it enough that it'll be obvious to you. A must be positive, and you're not allowed to have fractions. Everybody good with that? A is positive, you're not allowed to have fractions. All right? Now, if you'll notice, X and Y are on the same side of the equation. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Right, so that's the ultimate goal, is to get X and Y on the same side of the equation with X always being positive. So let me see if I can show you what I mean. So everybody take a look at question number 7. All right, so to write this properly, we would say y minus 11 equals 3x minus 6. Any objections so far? Everybody agree I just distributed the 3, correct? Now, I want x and y on the same side. However, I want the x to be positive. I want the x to be positive. All right? So with that, I'm just going to watch. You don't watch me real quick. I'm moving this over here. And when I move that over there, it becomes what? Everybody's going to put a negative sign. Now I'm going to take the negative 6 and I'm going to throw it over here. And then it becomes what?
Positive.
Positive. That's why I kind of like notability, so you can kind of visualize things. Everybody see that? Right? Now I want the x and y together, right? So I'm going to write 3x minus y equals what?
Negative 5.
And that's the correct answer. All right, that's how you would write something in standard form. See how simple that is, guys?
Yes.
Very, very simple. There's just a few rules. A is positive, there's no fractions, and they're relatively prime. All right, so let's take a look at number 8. Here we go. So I got to distribute y minus 10 equals negative x plus 2, right? So again, for those of you guys, I'm taking the x and moving it over. And when I move it over, it becomes what? When I move it over, it becomes positive. Now I'm going to take the negative 10 and move to the other side. When I move that to the other side, it becomes what? Good, positive. Now I want you to do that visually. You don't have to do what I'm doing, right? I just want you to practice seeing that. All right, so your answer is obviously what? X plus y equals 12. Is everybody seeing that's good? Easy? What's the matter, Daniel? Come on. All right, that's okay. Let's do a couple more just to make sure you're in good shape. All right, so now I have to distribute a 2, correct?
Yes.
So y plus 7 equals 2x plus 10. Is everybody agreeing? I want x and y on the same side, so I should move the what? I should move the y. And when I move it over, it becomes what? And then I should move the what? And that becomes, the 10 becomes what? The 10 becomes negative. So now, 2x minus y equals what? That's right? Is everybody happy? Everybody good so far? All right. So let's take a look at question 10. Uh-oh, the major problem here. Yeah, no fractions. So now some kids get confused here, so I'd like your attention up here, please. Look and listen carefully. All right? I'm going to first multiply both sides by 2. Now, if I multiply both sides by 2, what happens to the fraction? It goes away. Exactly, because what happens to this 2 and this 2? They cancel out, right? So now please watch and don't say huh. All right, just look up here on the board and watch what I'm doing. And then if you don't know what I'm doing, look at the board again and see the result and figure out what I must have done. All right, so look. Now, like I said, before you say something about not knowing what I did, look to see if you can figure out how I got those numbers. And all I did was do what? What property was it? Yeah, just use the distributive property on the left side and the right side. Everybody happy with that? All right. Okay, again, I got to move the x's and y's. All right, so this time I'm going to move the what? The y, and it becomes negative. Then I'm going to move the 12, and it becomes what? Negative. Right? So now, my answer, 3x minus 2y equals negative 22. Yes, ma'am.
Does it matter, like, I know the x and the y can be on the same side, but does it matter which side you go?
Yes, it's always on the left. All right, always on the left. That's why I always put 3x minus 2y. I always put the x and y on the left side.
Oh, okay.
All right, it's always equal to the constant. All right, let the fun continue. All right. So now, what do I need to multiply by? 4. So up in the corners, just put 4 times 4. Now you got to be real careful because I see a what? Negative. So you got to make sure you distribute the negative. So 4y plus 8 equals negative 3x minus 3. Is everybody happy with that? Now I'm going to move things around. I'm going to pull the negative 3x over, right? And that becomes positive. Then I'm going to pull the 4y, or I'm sorry, pull the 8 to the other side. It becomes what? It becomes negative. Except x and y.
And you can either
All right. Now, our answer, 3x plus 4y equals negative 11. Everybody good with that? Everybody good? All right, let's continue on. All right, here we go. 12. Again, what do I need to multiply everything through by? 3. So 3y minus 18 equals 4x minus 12. So far, so good? Everybody happy? Now, again, I want the x to be positive. So I'm going to throw the 3y over to the right and make it what? Throw the negative 12 to the left and make it beautiful. 4x minus 3y equals negative 6. Everybody feeling good about that? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like 1 equals 2 minus 1. You can say 2 minus 1 equals 1 also. right? All right, here we go. Now, again, I prefer to write 2.4 as a fraction. We're going to practice that mental math. Y minus 3 equals negative 12/5 times x minus 5. All right. Did I skip 13? All right. Well, that's all right. We'll do 14, then I'll go back. Thank you for that. Does everybody understand how I got 12/5, right? Come on, you just put 24 over 10 and reduced it. Right? 24 over 10 and reduce. Do I agree? And I'm expecting you to be able to do 24 over 10 in your head. Everybody happy with that? Now I need to multiply everything through by what? By 5. And then don't forget to distribute a what? Negative. Thank you. Don't forget to distribute the negative. That's the mistake everybody makes. So now I have what? 5y minus 15 equals negative 12x plus 60. Is everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Because the 5's cancel. Go the x over, go the negative 15 over. So now we're getting better at it. We can say 12x plus 5y equals what? Equals 75. Are we happy with that? Yes, sir. What's the matter? Of course it does. Right? Because the great mathematicians of the past said they want the x first and the y second. Does it really matter? No. Right? X plus y is the same as y plus x. But I'm not going to argue with all the old greats. All right? Yes.
I get like how we're doing this. I totally understand. And with the negatives, negative 12, it's the whole thing is technically negative. That's why we do the negative 5 times 4.
Right.
But why doesn't it become like negative 5 times y minus 3?
Because I'm not multiplying by a negative on the left side. I'm multiplying by a positive 5.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yes,
Would
ma'am.
we get the same answer if we kept it as a decimal?
No, because there would be a decimal in your answer. You know, that'd have decimals. Correct? Because the decimal is a fraction.
Oh.
All right? Or it's not an integer. All right? So 1.5, everybody should be able to just say that's what. Don't make that 15 over 10 either. That's 3 over 2, right? Everybody agree with me?
Yeah.
See how I did that? 3 over 2. All right? You should recognize that right off the bat. So y plus 4 equals 3 over 2 times x plus 2. So everybody, what do?
You multiply by 2.
Multiply by 2, and I get equals.
3x plus 6.
Beautiful. Keeping the x positive, right? I end up with 3x minus 2y equals 2. Am I wrong? You with me now, right? Yep, just be careful. That's why we're practicing in class. I want you to be experts in moving things around. And I think it's always easier to keep the variables positive. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's check out 15 now. Okay, so 2.5 is the same as what? 5 over 2. Good. That's how I want you to be able to tell me. You can, but it's not necessary. Like 2.5 is the same as 5 over 2. Right? If you did 25 over 10, that would reduce to what? You with me on this? But I just want you to be able to say 2.5 is the same as 5 over 2. Quicker. Okay? It's no big deal though. So now I have to multiply them through by. So I get 2y minus 8 equals 5x plus 15, right? So now moving the 2y, right? So 5x minus 2y equals, moving the 15, what does it equal? Right? Negative 23. Right? Remember, guys, I mean it. There's no substitute for you doing the work. Not following me, but making your mistakes and correcting your mistakes. All right? That's how you do it. All I'm saying is this is what the mathematicians told me to do. Right? Personally, I don't think it's necessary. I'd rather just write it as point slope. Right, but I'm saying on some standardized tests, they're going to say write it in standard form. And if I don't show you the standard form, you can't answer the question. All right, and that's standard form. All right, now just a quick review. Write in slope-intercept form. So that means you got to convert it to what? Yeah, you just got to convert that to y equals mx plus b, which is a piece of cake for you guys. That's what we did last week. All right, so let's do that real quick. So distribute a 4, right? Y plus 2 equals 4x plus 8. Y equals 4x plus 6. Anybody have any issue? Everybody good with that? Remember, slope-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. All right? So 17, let's see how good you are. Y plus 1 equals negative 7x minus 7. Agreed? So what? Minus 8. Everybody happy with that?
Oh yeah, I put 1.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
18. Y minus 3 equals negative 5x minus 60. So y minus 3, or I'm sorry, y equals minus 57. Everybody happy? All right. Okay, good. We got some fractions now. Y minus 5 equals 3/2 x plus 6. Everybody good with that? You could, but it just takes you a lot longer. You with me? Right. So your final answer, y equals 3/2x, what? Plus 11. All right, now again, I think the next one we're going to have to practice our mental math with fractions, I think. Yes. All right, so let's make sure we're good. With fractions again, y minus 1/4 equals negative 3x minus what? Minus 3/4, right? Now if you add a fourth, be careful. It's going to be negative 1/2. Double check yourself now. Very good. Negative 3/4 plus 1/4,
Oh, yeah.
right, is negative 2/4, which reduces to what? Negative 1/2. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Let's look at 21. All right. Y minus 2/3 equals negative 2x plus what? Come on, guys. You should never say 2/4.
Oh, negative 1/2.
You should never say 2/4.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Negative times negative is positive. Everybody good with that? All right. Now what I want everybody to do is I want everybody to add in their head 1/2 plus 2/3. Try not to write it out on paper. Try to visualize the common denominator. Add the fractions together. You will dazzle people in high school when you can add 1/2 and 2/3 in your head. All right, so let's find out. Y equals negative 2x. You're adding 2/3, right? So when you add 2/3, common denominator is 1/2 is how many?
6.
And 2/3 is 4. So altogether you have, is everybody good? 7/6, right? Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to add fractions in your head, guys. Everybody should be able to add those fractions. If you can't, help me out now. I'll be happy to go slower and show you again.
I know how to do it. It takes me a little bit longer.
That's why we're practicing mental math. Right? I want you to do it on paper. You with me? I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But you're practicing with your mental math. 1/2 is 3/6. 2/3 is 4/6. 3/6 plus 4/6 is 7/6. That's not bad. All right, I'm really kind of happy, guys. Don't worry about 27 or 22 and 23. All right, don't worry about that. Go back and now, actually, guys, yeah, let's do 1 through 27. All right, 1 through 27. You guys can knock that out quickly. How much time do we have here? We have 8 minutes. All right. Anybody have any problems? All right, so I am going to give you a little bit of break here, guys. I'll just say to do the odds. How about that? Do the odds for me. All right. Now, again, I do want to stress this, though. Some of your parents came and they asked me a few questions, and I said, you know, if you're at a B and you want to make an A, instead of doing the odds, you should do what? All of them. I just don't want you to have an hour of math, right? It's not necessary for you guys. But you have to understand, if you don't know something, you need what? More practice, not less. That's kind of, you know, kind of annoying, right? It's not fair. Somebody who gets it and they get it done in 15 minutes, right? It takes you 30 minutes to do those same 15 minutes, but now you got to do more because you don't understand it as well. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So you got to evaluate yourself. If you want the A and you're not at an A, you got to do more work. All right? So you guys got the odds, unless you're struggling or you had a little bit of difficulty or not quite sure what I was doing. Does anybody have any questions? All right, guys, get that done, please.